All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and it feels good to win. I know a lot of us, including me, are definitely looking forward to that draft, but it always feels good to win, especially the way that we won, especially with it being a lot of the future guys. I know a lot of us are looking towards the future, but the fact that we won this game on the backs of our future is amazing. This was the first solid game from this rookie class, even with third-round pick Ricky Strongberg unavailable to play. We look like we have a franchise quarterback in Sam Howell. Of course, this is Rico of RicoScores, so we're going to break down every position group. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, all of the coaches, all of the defense, even special teams, the returner and Jamison Crowder, the kicker and Joey Sly. We're going to talk about everybody that contributed to this game. And again, even including the coach, we're going to talk about Ron Rivera, Eric Bieniemy, Jack DeRio, the good and bad with all three of those guys. I mean, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, safety, everything. But some of the main points, man. First of all, Sam Howell is our franchise quarterback. I disagree with a lot of y'all that are saying that we need to trade up or do whatever we can to get like Caleb Williams and Drake May. I'm gonna do a whole video breakdown on why I disagree with that. We'll briefly talk about it today, but it's mostly going to be on the Sam Howell side for this video today. When I do my full breakdown on that, like probably tomorrow, the day after that, it's going to be talking about Drake May, Caleb Williams, and what they're doing and why I feel like Sam Howell, even if you don't feel like he's better than those guys, would you prefer Sam Howell with an elite tight end like Brock Bowers and or an elite left tackle like or Olufashanu, or do you prefer Caleb Williams carrying the team by himself and he can't even carry the USC by himself? So, you know, we're going to get to that later, but today, most importantly, man, the 8th seed, let me emphasize that, the 8th seed, Washington Commanders versus the Patriots victory. Got to do a full breakdown, man. The 2023 rookie stepped up big time. We win when Tyler Larson's at center. I'm going to give you the stats there. We win way more when he's starting at center than we do without him. Also, Emmanuel Forbes had a bounce back game, and he called it on his Instagram story a couple of days ago. He put, "I'm back," with a picture of himself. Now, I think he was mostly talking about the fact that he was probably already given the heads up that he would be back starting, or at the very least getting starting level minutes after not playing much the past few weeks after getting basically benched against the Bears, even though nobody covered DJ Moore well, even after Emmanuel Forbes got benched. But it is what it is. That's great for him. The refs were horrible for both teams. Yeah, typically the refs are one-sided and always going against the Commanders, but I gotta admit, the refs tried to keep this game close for the Patriots, and then towards like the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, they started to give it towards us. So I mean, you know how it goes. But Howell strung together consecutive great games now for the first time. I'm excited about that. Jonathan Allen just said Sam Howell is our guy for the next 5 to 10 years. The wide receiver stepped up big time with Curtis Samuel gone. He was hurt today, but a lot of other guys like Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder stepped up big time, man. No Chase, no Sweat, no problem. And we got to do a checkup on what Montez Sweat did for the Bears. Stay tuned for that towards the end of the video. Also, are we still tanking and rebuilding, or are we fighting for that 7th seed? Again, we're only 1 seed out. Also, Rivera finally called the challenge, and he won the challenge. Wow. So we got to talk about all that and more, but before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, man. Make sure you stay tuned because I'm working on all kinds of review videos, looking at all kinds of different angles on not only this victory over the Patriots for the next few days, but also a lot of things like Sam Howell, our franchise quarterback, why or why not. Also, I'm going to talk about Eugene Shin and a big breakdown of what he likes to build his teams, like how he likes to build his roster. So stay tuned for that, and why it's quite likely that we'll probably try to do whatever we can to get a Brock Bowers in the draft. So, hey man, stay tuned for all of those videos, and of course, I'm gonna update y'all with some advanced stats and pro football focused statistics later, and I will have a preview video out there for this upcoming game against the Seahawks soon as well in the next few days. So stay tuned for all of that. If you want to support the channel, you can donate to RicoScores. That's the Cash App, $RicoScores, or the PayPal, WMAC94@gmail.com. Shouts out to all of y'all that donated during the stream. And of course, I will be here next week when we're playing against the Seahawks, live streaming all 4 quarters just like I did today. So again, appreciate y'all. And without further ado, man, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
All right, before we dive into everything, I want to start with a few notes. First of all, Washington head coaches to beat Bill Belichick as the Patriots head coach, Steve Spurrier in 2003, Ron Rivera in 2023. That's it. Each with a 20-17 win, which is pretty creepy. That's really weird. The only time the Commanders beat the Patriots since Bill Belichick has been the head coach is if we win 20-17. Any other score, we don't win. Crazy. Also, shouts out my boy at Commanders Realm. Great point. The win may not weigh a lot, but the young guys and how performing is more important than anything else. It doesn't matter if you want us to tank and you want to get a better draft pick. If you want us to win out and do everything we can to make the playoffs and stuff like that. All of that stuff is cool, but the most important thing is that our young guys balled out, led by Sam Howell. But again, we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into the rookie class and all of the other young guys that, we're building towards the future, and a lot of our future guys played very well today, and I'm very proud of them, man. I really am. Really am. Them boys look different out there today, specifically the rookie class. Also, huge win for the Commanders. Going to New England and leaving with a win is big. I mean, this was in New England. This was not in Maryland. Having a young quarterback show the way play the way that Howell did today is even bigger and better. On top of that, got a great game from Forbes as well. And speaking of that, shouts out to Al Galdi for this one. It is too early to declare Sam Howell a franchise quarterback just yet. It is not too early to say that he is by far the Commanders' #1 bright spot this season, though. He's improving in the last 2 games and facing 2 good defenses in those of the Eagles and the Patriots. He's played like a franchise quarterback. And I would go a step further. I don't agree with Al Galdi there. I'm basically ready to say he is a franchise quarterback. Now, granted, he has the rest of the season audition to be that, but so far he's shown me basically everything I need to see. The only thing I'm waiting for is for him to do it long term, rather than just every now and then skipping games, or this is his first time really doing it 2 games in a row, even though they're both great defenses, 2 games in a row. I want to see it throughout the course of a season. Can you play way more games as a franchise quarterback than not, basically? But we're going to get to that when we get to Sam Howell. I'm super excited to talk about that. But before we do, let's talk about the refs. Okay, again, the majority of the game, at the very least the first half, the refs were easily on the Patriots side. But then it flipped at a certain point in the game. We'll get to that. But when they were on their side, it was ridiculous, man. That call against James Smith-Williams is one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I mean, they literally just made up that call. I'm just assuming Bill Belichick sent a check to the refs like a couple of plays before, and then they just had to make up a call. I mean, they were just waiting. You could tell they were just on their toes, waiting for the Commanders to do something good so they can take it away. It was crazy, man. I mean, that was ridiculous. And I feel like at the very least, explain live, not after the game like they just did. And I'm not even going to read that explanation because it was just so stupid. They're trying to say like he landed on him with his body, but really, what can you do? A lot of sacks end up like that, where you end up landing on the quarterback with your body. That rule sucks. They need to stop officiating that. But I feel like at the very least, you owe us an explanation of what went wrong live. Like, don't just call that ridiculous call that looks like one of the worst calls in NFL history for no reason, just roughing the passer and just keep it pushing like nothing happened. They at least owe us an explanation, I feel like, live. This is what happened. This is what he should do the next time to avoid this being a penalty. Stuff like that, dog. I mean, look at the play right here. Just in case if you haven't seen it or you forgot it or whatever, here's the play right here, matter of fact. I mean, come on, dog. Are the Commanders just no longer allowed to sack quarterbacks? Like, that's the rule. It wasn't a roughing the passer. It was the call of personal foul. Commanders did something good. That's not allowed. That's not legal anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's terrible. And then look at this right here. Look at this. This is clearly holding, bruh. They didn't even call this, so we ended up going 3 and out and kicking a field goal rather than potentially getting a touchdown, getting a new set of downs, and we're quite likely to score because I like Sam Howell in the red zone. I'm actually pretty optimistic when we get in the red zone with Sam Howell. He typically makes something shake, but like, what can you do with this? The ball was slightly overthrown, yes, but like, maybe it's technically not overthrown if Logan Thomas isn't getting held like this. Come on, dog, that's ridiculous. And then moving on, man. I'm also surprised they didn't even call an offensive pass interference on Hunter Henry. when he ran over Jamin Davis. I'm surprised they didn't call a personal foul on Jamin Davis at that point. But Hunter Henry ran over Jamin Davis when he didn't have the ball yet. He was trying to pick him so Zeke could get open on a route. And I'm just surprised that they even called that. And that's pretty much when the game flipped. They finally gave us an accurate call. Not even like a great call, like oh man, the Patriots got fleeced on that one. No, that was just straight up. Like, that's what you're supposed to call, refs. That's what you get paid money to do. You call that play. And then it's like after that, the refs just said, well, I guess we can make good calls, huh? So now let's flip it the other way. And instead of hating on the Commanders, let's hate on the Patriots. But also what's interesting about that call is the way he ran over Jamin Davis. That looked like that was like a play design. Like they told him when they rehearsed that play, run the linebacker over, even maybe in the huddle, like, whoever, called that play in was like, make sure you run that linebacker over. It didn't look like it was an accident. It literally looked like he was targeting for Jamin Davis. So I'm like, was that on purpose? Are the Patriots just so used to the refs letting them get away with stuff that they just design plays like that and dare a ref to call it? Like, we sent y'all that extra money. We supposed to be getting calls our way. I dare you to call that type of thing. I mean, that wouldn't have been the worst no call in the game. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised. I mean, at that point in the game, too, up until that point, it was kind of like, hey, we're the Patriots. Let's cheat and see if the refs even call it. They haven't called anything up to this point. Why not? You know what I'm saying? What can we lose type of thing? So that was just interesting in itself. But again, somewhere like in the mid, like somewhere late third, early fourth, they just, man, hey, they blessed us because mid fourth quarter, they missed an obvious face mask on Jamin Davis. Obvious. And then they made up that roughing call with calling a random offsides on a punt. 3 minutes left in the game. We're punting the ball. And then they called a random offsides, which allowed us to run the ball a little bit more, run out a lot more clock. And then by the time they got the ball back, they're out here forcing throws, which led to that game-winning interception because Mac Jones is like, time is running out. We have no timeouts. We got to start forcing some stuff. So, hey, man, refs hated on us for like the first 2.5 quarters and then hated on the Patriots for the last quarter and a half. Really interesting. Now, moving on to Rivera. We came out hot, but it's like the Commanders just wanted to give up that game. That Brian Robinson fumble, the Sam Howell interception that made 0 sense. That it was just like, man, Ron Rivera, what's up with your teams? Other teams try to give us the win and we try to give it back. We were literally outclassing them at a certain point, and then we had like double their plays, more than double their time of possession, but the score was close, or we were even losing at one point because we just kept turning the ball over and then just giving them the game. I mean, the Falcons did everything they could to give us that game, and we kept trying to give it back to them as well. And that just seems to be like a consistent thing under Ron Rivera. I hate that. I just don't understand. 2 turnovers were literally the only difference in the game. I mean, that was literally it at a certain point, especially like by halftime. Also, I mean, Kevin Sheehan, shouts out to him for this. Bad ending to a good half by Howell in the offense. Ron could have called a timeout, which would have guaranteed plenty of time, 39 seconds left, to call what they wanted, including being able to run the ball. Not sure why they hurried with 3 timeouts left. Still a bad decision by Howell. I completely agree with that. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the Sam Howell part of this video. But I was screaming even before the interception, why with 30-something seconds left, 3 timeouts, we're in the red zone. Why are we not calling a timeout? Why are we trying to hurry up and get to the line and rush a play? And then Sam Howell ends up making one of the dumbest throws I've ever seen, not even just from him, but in NFL history. I don't even know what that was. I'm convinced Sam Howell threw that interception to try to tank, to give so we can hurry up and get him a starting left tackle or a diddly weapon in Brock Bowers or something. I'm just convinced Sam Howell was like, man, here's the interception. Please go get me Brock Bowers. Because that was so dumb. I have no idea what that was. But still, even though Ron Rivera doesn't deserve all the blame, because it's not like he was the one on the field throwing the interception. But why is it 39 seconds left? We have 3 timeouts in the red zone, and we're not calling a timeout. We're trying to hurry up. Sam Howell was huffing and puffing up to that point, too. I pointed that out during the live stream. That was like a few plays after he had that ridiculous 24-yard run on 3rd and 23, made a couple of misses, ran somebody over, and we're running hurry up offense, so he has no time to catch his breath. He's throwing dots immediately afterwards as well. I mean, he just had no time to rest. Now, I don't know if him losing oxygen leads to his brain losing oxygen, and that was the catalyst for that dumb interception. I don't know. I'm not going to blame it all on the fact that Sam Howell was tired, but come on, we could have called a timeout, gathered ourselves, and came up with a better play. More than likely, even just run the ball. How about that? 3 timeouts left, 39 seconds left. run the ball. By the time we snapped the ball on that interception play from Sam Howell, it was like 20-something seconds left because we wasted like more than 10 seconds just lining up and stuff. Could have just called an immediate timeout, had about almost 40 seconds to figure out what we were going to do the next few plays. So I'm not understanding that. I didn't like that from Ron Rivera, but shouts out to Ron Rivera for finally calling a challenge and winning a challenge. Shouts out to him for that, man. Also, did Jamin Davis fake an injury to allow Ron Rivera a chance to look at the replay? And this was yet again another situation where every Commanders player on the sideline and coach, everybody is like, bruh, that was incomplete. Reps, that was incomplete. Rivera, bruh, call a challenge. That was incomplete, just like last year. Deja vu. I mean, not last year, last game, last week against the Eagles. Deja vu. Like, the whole sideline is saying, this is incomplete. Ron Rivera, go ahead and throw it. If Ron Rivera's hesitating again, shouts out to James Smith-Williams for faking an injury, just like how Darius Slay faked an injury for the Eagles last week for the Jahan Dotson call to get reversed. We were able to fake an injury. I guess that's football. I hate it. We need to take that out of the game. Hate how people do that to my Georgia Bulldogs all the time, slowing us down when we got momentum just so the defense can catch a break so they can have a better chance of stopping us. That faking injury stuff, we got to figure something out for that just in general. But hey, if it's available, Commanders use it, just like the tush push. I feel like that's weird. I feel like that needs to come out of the game. But if it's available, you better get good at it and learn how to use it, because other teams are as well. Darius Slay hit us with it last week. How about we hit the Patriots with it right back this week? I don't even think James Smith-Williams was hurt at all. I mean, he played the rest of the game as if nothing was wrong. If anything, he looked like he even got better and gained more energy after sitting down for a little bit. But hey, man, shouts out to Ron Rivera. You were about to hesitate again. James Smith-Williams faking an injury, whether that was your idea or whatever, bailed you out. But hey, shouts out to him for that. And now I'm not surprised, because we beat the Patriots when a lot of people didn't expect us to, especially in New England. I wouldn't be surprised we go on one of them ugly little Ron Rivera middle of the season win streaks that all it does is make our draft pick worse, and then we just fold towards the end and end up not making the playoffs. If you're going to dive head first into this playoffs thing and you're trying to go on this win streak in the middle of the season, you better finish it. At the very least, if you're going to mess up our draft picks, because right now, before this victory, I don't know about after this victory against the Patriots, but before this victory, we had 5 top 4 picks in the top 40 picks in the draft, or at least top 50 something, 60 something picks in the draft. 5 top 60 something picks in the draft. And if you're gonna throw that away to ultimately not make the playoffs, or even if we do, we fall on our face flat in the wild card round, don't even bother, dog. Please don't. But I wouldn't be surprised with Ron Rivera. Every season that he's been here, we always go on a weird win streak where we lose to games where we're not supposed to lose, like the Bears and the Giants we did this season. But then we beat teams we're not supposed to be, like the Patriots and maybe even the Seahawks next week. I just don't know, man. And but shouts out to Ron Rivera though, because this is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is the offense, defense, and special teams finally had like the first game all season where it seemed like all 3 were on point. It seems like every game there's something off. This was the first game, other than turnovers, it seemed like offense, defense, and special teams all played a good game. At least a fairly good game where you could at the very least give everybody a B- at minimum. Typically, like, we'll have the offense with an A game and the defense with like a C- F. Or something, or against the first game against the Eagles, special teams was terrible. Tress Way was awful. It's always something. Today was the first day it all came together, so that's a good thing for Ron Rivera, but that's also a bad thing that it took that long. What are we, week 9 for it to all come together? Like, I don't get that. But either way, man, speaking of week 9, we are now 4-5. We are also 4-5 along with the Falcons, but we beat them, so we have the tiebreaker. We are the 8th seed with the Vikings ahead of us, 5-4. Josh Dobbs. I mean, I was predicting the Vikings to lose today, but Josh Dobbs said, I'm not having none of that. Shouts out to him. I'm rooting for you, too, because he is from Atlanta, and y'all know I keep track of all of my Atlanta boys. If you're just from the state of Georgia, born, raised, whatever, I keep track of you, and he's from Alpharetta, so shouts out my boy Josh Dobbs, man. I'm telling you, man, we produce quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, once he gets his act together. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, all of these guys, stop playing with them, man. And Josh Dobbs out there hooping, too. I'm telling y'all, man, I'm trying to. Juju Lewis coming out. Ooh, Juju Lewis in a couple of years, man. But yeah, I'm going on a tangent. But either way, again, we are currently the 8th seed. We're only 1 seed away from being in the playoffs. The Vikings are 5-4. We're 4-5. Can we expect the Vikings to keep going crazy? We'll see. We'll see how this goes, man. I'm super excited though. I mean, you got the 49 Falcons right on our heels, and then you have a bunch. You have 2, 3, and 5 teams: Buccaneers, Packers. Then you have a 3 and 6 team in the Rams, and then you got the Giants, Bears, all of these other guys with 2 wins or less. So the NFC sucks right now. The AFC is way crazier right now. It's way harder to get to the playoffs in the AFC. But we told you that. I told you that. A lot of people told you that even before the season started. So I'm not surprised. But then Matthew Stafford getting hurt and Kirk Cousins getting hurt. I talked about this in my video before the Patriots game on Saturday. This NFC is wide open, and you know, a surprise that Josh Dobbs was able to carry the Vikings to a win. Not even just because it's Josh Dobbs, but he didn't know the players' names. He didn't get to throw one pass to a receiver before this game in practice. He didn't get to catch one snap from the starting center from the Vikings before the game in practice at all. Like, just that's crazy to go out there and win a game, especially the way that he did. So that was kind of unexpected. If the law of averages work out and the Vikings end up losing games, because that was just a ridiculous win, or maybe Josh Dobbs is just a GOAT. I don't know. We could easily end up being the 7th seed if we just keep winning. But the schedule's ridiculous. I mean, again, we got to play the Seahawks upcoming, and they just lost badly to the Ravens. They're probably going to play angry against us, and it's in Seattle. Then we got to play the Giants again, who we couldn't beat before. Let's see if we can beat them now. Daniel Jones looks like he got super hurt, but who knows? Tyrod Taylor, if he's healthy, I mean, Daniel Jones didn't play against us last time. We still lost. Cowboys look like a really good team right now. The Dolphins, they're bad team eaters. So what are we? They can't beat good teams, but they eat up against bad teams. Which side of the coin are we on that? Then we have a bye week. Then we have the Rams. Maybe Matthew Stafford's back by then. We'll see. But they were pretty good until Matthew Stafford got hurt. Then the Jets. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is back by then. Then the 49ers. They're angry, and they'll probably be on some type of hot streak leading up to that game. And then it's the Cowboys again. So Hey, we're the AFC right now, but it's not like it's a very favorable schedule. If you really wanted to make the playoffs for real, you wouldn't have lost to the Bears and the Giants, but we're going to keep it moving, Rivera. We're going to keep it moving. Also, I love this from my boy Bucket _ WFT fan on Twitter. Look at this right here, man. Like, come on, dog. I mean, that literally feels like Rivera at least thought something like that, even if he didn't say it. Like, golly, man. The whole Sam Howell, I didn't know Sam Howell would be that good, all of that last year. Golly, man. But like, we can just go ahead and move on. We're gonna stop picking on you, Eric Bieniemy. Ron Rivera. Speaking of Eric Bieniemy, let's go ahead and talk about him. Overall, not a lot to say because it was just a great game overall, but just a nitpick. Still questionable on 4th and 1s. I don't like these 4th and 1 calls out of shotguns. I'm not liking it. Go single back, out formation, whatever you got to do. At least pose the threat of a run. Against the Eagles and the Patriots. These 4th and 1 calls in the red zone, not liking those. But other than that, he's starting to get into a rhythm, dog. Eric Bieniemy starting to get into that bag. He made some great play calls to get Terry McLaurin open underneath when we were trying to run out the clock. Allowed Terry McLaurin to Terry McLaurin, smart play by him to just basically slide and get down to keep the clock going and stuff like that. He drew up some ridiculous plays today. He enabled Sam Howell to be able to get the ball out of his hands quickly. The offensive line is playing better, but at the same time, it's also a mix of Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy calling the right plays, drawing up the right play designs, routes, and stuff like that, and Sam Howell knowingly to get the ball out of his hands quicker, which is allowing Sam Howell to get sacked less. Eric Bieniemy deserves some credit for Sam Howell getting sacked less, but he also, of course, deserves some credit for a win like this. This was a great win today. I'm very proud of all of them, man. I really am. Even though we should have scored more points than 20 points is misleading because, again, interception in the end zone is not Bieniemy's fault. Brian Robinson fumbling after a 12-yard gain is not Eric Bieniemy's fault. We should have scored 30. The way we were playing today, we were on path to score 30 points today. So shouts out to Eric Bieniemy. He was in his bag. But along with the 4th and 1 calls in the red zone, still not liking that. I'm also not understanding why we still have guys running the same routes in the same areas. Like, why did we have Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, even though it was a perfect ball from Sam Howell and it ended up being a touchdown for us? Why are Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson basically running the same route from the same starting point, same finishing point, same route, same journey, all of that in between? Literally basically did the same thing. I don't know. It looked like a glitch in the Madden system. If you don't know what I'm talking about, remember the Jahan Dotson touchdown catch, perfect throw from Sam Howell. Eric Bieniemy, again, great game from you, but what is this? Also, on third down with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, we're trying to run out the clock. Why did we take a deep shot to De'Ami Brown? Is that Sam Howell's fault? Because Jahan Dotson was wide open underneath. I kind of want to assume it's Sam Howell's fault, but I want to bring it up in Eric Bieniemy situation because the Eric Bieniemy called in the play that pre-snap, throw it to De'Ami Brown. I don't care what else is going on, because I feel like worst case scenario, you throw it underneath to Jahan Dotson, the clock keeps going. Even if we don't get a first down, we ended up winning the game, but that was just a little weird. So just, because I don't want to just only praise people as if they're perfect. So I wanted to point out a couple of negatives from Eric Bieniemy, but overall, this was a great play calling game from him these couple of weeks in a row. Sam Howell is starting to get into a rhythm. They're starting to catch a stride. They have put together 2 great games in a row. Like, if they are actually auditioning for their chances of being our guys going into next year, Eric Bieniemy is an offensive coordinator or head coach, Sam Howell's our franchise quarterback. So far, 2 games in, they are doing their thing. Like, they look like they're going to be a part of the 2024 Commanders and beyond. I'm really proud of them. Eric Bieniemy, keep doing what you're doing. Again, just wanted to nitpick a couple of things to just make you even better than you already are. I'm pretty sure you already know that. I mean, that boy has way more football knowledge than I have, but I just wanted to point out those. I don't want to just only be here as a Commanders praiser. We got to point out the positives and negatives for people, even like Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy, who had great games. They weren't perfect, and I feel like I got to point that out. I got to be 100% real with y'all, man. Now moving on to Sam Howell, man. He did so well that first half up until that point at that interception. I don't know what that interception was. That was crazy. He's a weird guy, too, because he doesn't have a lot of bad plays, but his bad plays are always like the worst plays. You know what I'm saying? It's never just something simple. Like, Mac Jones had a lot of bad plays today, and even that interception at the end wasn't necessarily his fault. Sam Howell had the worst play today by any of the 2 quarterbacks, but Mac Jones had way more bad plays. But again, Sam Howell has the worst play. That's just how he is. He's going to have way more good plays. He's going to have the most good plays. He's going to have the highest quality plays, usually, depending on what quarterback he's going against. But at the same time, he's usually going to have the worst play. Again, Mac Jones had far more bad plays. Sam Howell outdueled Mac Jones by far. Mac Jones was missing open receivers, all kinds of stuff. Even though I don't blame him for that interception at the end. Mac Jones easily had more bad plays than Sam Howell, but Sam Howell had the worst play between the 2 with that terrible interception he threw in the end zone. That's just who he is, man. I don't want to call him a gunslinger because he doesn't have a lot of bad plays. It's just that when he does, it's terrible. But hey, man, all I know is Howell showed elite quarterback traits today, and I saw all I needed to see with that 3rd and 23. Picked it up himself, he's not the fastest guy. He made a couple of guys miss and then ran over a guy or 2 to get that last yard. Come on, dog. Come on, man. And then after that, he threw some dots. Now, he did throw that interception. But again, to run for 24 yards on 30-23, to literally put the team on your back, and then to throw dots immediately after that. One went through De'Ami Brown's hands. You got to catch that. But like I was talking about in the stream, it's not an excuse. It's just a point to say how De'Ami Brown can become better. It's not an excuse. Again, you're making millions of dollars. I would love to get paid millions of dollars to not catch touchdown passes, dots from Sam Howell. I would love it. So I'm not providing an excuse at all. But to make De'Ami Brown a better receiver, I think targeting him more often will get him, more ready to make catches like that. This guy is only pretty much getting targeted in practice for the most part. And so when it comes to in-game situations, when we need catches, not plays we want to make, plays we need you to make, you're getting hit by opposing defensive backs that don't care about your safety that much. They're trying to win the game. Unlike when you're in practice, when our DBs are prioritizing your safety number 1, and then developing and getting better number 2. It's just a different feel. So I feel like targeting him more will make him a better receiver. But is that an excuse? No, because again, as a person that would love to make millions of dollars not making catches for Sam Howell in the end zone when you're wide open, I have no sympathy for that drop at all. But that's just a reason. That's just a good explanation as to why he's probably dropping passes when he didn't used to in UNC. UNC, he was getting targeted all of the times. For the Commanders, he's not getting targeted much. And, it's just hard to kind of get into a rhythm, to admit. But yeah, moving on. Again, Sam Howell to that first down run on 3rd and 23. And then to throw those dots, he threw the incomplete pass to De'Ami Brown that went right through his hands for a touchdown. Then that sideline throw to the left side. I mean, just elite stuff, dog. Again, it eventually led to an interception to end the half, basically. But boy, and I'm just so happy that he's finally putting together just consecutive great games. And again, that interception, I'm just going to assume. I refuse to believe Sam Howell is that dumb because that play was crazy. I'm going to assume he threw that in hopes that we could potentially tank and get him a top tackle in the draft. But yeah, I'm just really happy Sam Howell finally put together consecutive great quarterback games because that's what I was worried about. He would have a great game, bad game, great game, bad game, average game, good game, but not great, bad game. I want him to have consecutive great games. I called him out for that. I said that before the game started, and he went out there and did it. And I love that, man. And it's crazy, too, because, again, I talked about this on Saturday as well. Bill Belichick usually eats on young quarterbacks. Sam Howell technically isn't a rookie, but, you know, according to Game Started, this is only his 10th start in his NFL career. Technically, he is like a redshirt freshman at worst. And he ate against Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick was sending blitzes. He was disguising coverages. That's why he usually eats against rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, because he makes things complicated. He makes you rush through your reads, but he also disguises coverages, so he'll act like he's blitzing somebody. Then they'll actually just drop back in coverage. And then you know a blitz is coming, so you got to hurry up and think on the fly. That's why veteran quarterbacks tend to have better success against Bill Belichick rather than young ones. And Sam Howell passed the test. Shouts out to him for making it through all of that chaos that Bill Belichick was throwing at him. And again, a really good defense, not just talent-wise, but also well coached. Also, Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bite said Sam Howell is what everybody wanted Baker Mayfield to become. That's really interesting. Some people were saying that before we even drafted him. Even after we drafted him, some people were comping him to Baker Mayfield. So I think that's hilarious and a compliment. I'll take it. But hey, man, I love the fact that no matter how bad of a play Sam Howell makes, it's like he just has a terrible memory like me. Like, it's just he forgets it immediately. And hey, man, that's one of them elite traits. Those are to be able to pick up 3rd and longs, 3rd and 23, whether it's through your legs or your arm, to have a short-term memory when it comes to bad plays or bad games, to bounce back immediately the next play or have a great game immediately after having a bad game. He's showing a lot of elite traits that even a lot of really good quarterbacks don't have. You can't teach those things, dog. You just can't. You literally just can't. That's just mental makeup. So I'm very happy. I think this could be a franchise guy. Also, shouts out to Chris Cooley because he brought up a great point. Can't remember the last time a Washington quarterback has made this many NFL throws in one game. This guy was dotting up. I'm like, I want to take the time to apologize for the fact that I didn't love Sam Howell as much as a lot of y'all did coming out of the draft. But I've seen the light. This guy is a franchise quarterback. I don't care what you say. I can't remember since I've been a Commanders fan, since I've been alive, the like burgundy and gold, Redskins, Washington football team, whatever, a guy that made this many NFL throws, touch, accuracy, timing, big time throws off his back foot. I mean, there was one play where he was running one way to avoid pressure because the offensive line tried to Willie beaming him from any given Sunday. Just let the defensive lineman walk through. I don't know if it was a blitz or whatever. I don't remember. He's running one way to the right side and backwards. He twists his body around off his back foot, momentum carrying him this way, no ability to stop, set his feet off the back foot, throws it across his body, across the field too, not just across his body in front of him, across the field as well. Byron Pringle, first down on like a 3rd down play, I believe, and we may have ended up scoring that drive as well. That drive may have ended up resulting in points, and you got to look back at that Sam Howell play right there. He's doing things other quarterbacks just don't do in general, but definitely not burgundy and gold quarterbacks since I've been alive. Again, I wasn't alive to watch any of our Super Bowls. I wasn't alive for any of our greatest moments. So Sam Howell is pretty much the best quarterback so far from what I've seen in a small sample size, probably the best quarterback I've seen us have since I've been a burgundy and gold fan, and that has me very excited. Build around this guy. I don't care what y'all say. Also, this boy distributes the ball very well. He had 9 players with receptions. Now, that's a compliment to Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell as well. Also, Sam Howell has now eclipsed 2,500 career passing yards. Sam Howell has recorded 2,500 career passing yards, becoming the first quarterback in Washington history to reach the feat in his first 10 career games. So Sam Howell is basically doing things right now that no other burgundy and gold quarterback has ever done in the history, even during the times we won the Super Bowls. And you got to remember, he didn't even have a lot of passing yards in that first game he played ever against the Cowboys. He barely threw the ball. I don't know why we didn't throw the ball more, because it was like, what do we have to lose? We already lost the ability to go to the playoffs. It was literally only just maybe playing for a draft pick. Why not just let him slang it around? So even despite all of that, even with a bad O-line play, even with all of the chaos that's going on, Sam Howell is doing things no other Commanders quarterback, burgundy and gold, Redskins, Washington football team, whatever quarterback has ever done. So statistically, he's already just setting a new bar that nobody else has ever reached. Also, with 8 games left, Sam Howell already has the second most single season passing yards for a Washington quarterback since Kirk Cousins' 2017 season. Only Taylor Heineke had 3,419 in 2021, had a better single season performance. So, hey, man, if you don't believe in Sam Howell by now, I don't know what you're waiting on. And again, against really good defenses, the Eagles and the Patriots, I know it hasn't necessarily resulted in us having a positive record, a team you can truly believe in, but I would like to blame a lot more people before I start to blame Sam Howell. Also, that 24-yard rush on 3rd and 23 that I've been talking about and hyping up was the longest of his career so far. Again, he's not the fastest guy, so I'm not surprised. Also, Sam Howell has now eclipsed 300 passing yards in consecutive games for the first time of his short NFL career. Also, Sam Howell's first 10 career starts, 5-5 record, 2,649 yards, 89 passer rating, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, to Kirk Cousins' first 10 starts, 77 passer rating, 17 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, 2,732 yards. So Sam Howell is already off to a better start than Kirk Cousins ever was. And I mean, Kirk Cousins had them Vikings looking like something serious. And remember, Kirk Cousins was drafted late in the draft, but he was still drafted an entire round before Sam Howell. Sam Howell was a 5th round pick. Kirk Cousins was a 4th round pick. So don't forget that. Also, I feel like this is a great time to be petty and remind y'all that Bill Belichick drafted Bailey Zappe over Sam Howell. He could have had Sam Howell ready to go with Mac Jones looking sorry, but instead he chose Bailey Zappe, and now Bailey Zappe is even the backup to a bad Mac Jones. Also, Jonathan Allen after the game said about Sam Howell, I feel like we found our quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years, and I truly believe that. He's standing 10 toes down on that, and I'm right with him. I don't care. I'm right with him. Again, I want to see it over a long-term situation instead of just a couple of games here and there or 2 games in a row like he just did. I want to see it for the rest of the season, but he's shown me enough to I know we can build around him, bro. I really do. And again, the fact that he's putting great games together in a row, I keep wanting to emphasize in a row, consistency, consecutively. I keep using those words over and over again. That's the type of stuff that makes you a long-term franchise guy that we build around. And just imagine it, man. If Sam Howell is really a franchise quarterback, and statistically, he's been a top 10 quarterback this year so far. I mean, we could debate about whether he is a top 10 quarterback in NFL right now. I do feel like that's a little early to say it, but he's been top 10 in like yards, completion percentage, like adjusted completion percentage, because a lot of times he's throwing the ball out of bounds to just avoid a worse play because nobody's open. Offensive line gonna let him down, all of that type of stuff. So that's why that stat exists. Also, big time throws as far as like throwing things into pretty good coverage, but throwing it so well and so accurately with so much touch, the DB has no hope of making a play on it. Like, he's doing top 10 quarterback things. Now, can he put it all together? Can he do it consecutively over the course of a season? We'll see. But just imagine, man, if Sam Howell is really that guy to what he looks like right now, along with the draft capital that we have, because again, before this game concluded, before we won this game, we had potentially 5 top 60-something picks in the draft, and that's something that's very attractive to a next owner. I mean, to a next front office, GM, head coach, coaching staff, all of that. And also on top of that, a lot of cap space. If you release Charles Leno, trade him, whatever, we have over $100 million of cap space going into this next offseason. And again, Charles Leno, we're going to talk about it when we get to the offensive line part of this. He had like a really bad drive where he allowed a sack and had a penalty. But other than that, he was solid. He's solid. He's decent. But I'm pretty sure most of us wants to go offensive tackle in the first round. It's either Brock Bowers or Olufashanu Joe Alt or my boy Amarius Mims. Hope it would be beautiful if we can get both, if we package some of our picks together to take Brock Bowers first and then trade up to get one of those other guys potentially or something. Or maybe vice versa, take one of those tackles first, trade up to get Brock Bowers. I don't know. But either way, that would be beautiful. But regardless, all of this cap space, and then if you want to cut Charles Leno, then we have a needed tackle. You take that tackle in the draft. You have potentially a franchise left tackle along with a franchise quarterback. Would love to have Brock Bowers. This is a very attractive destination because there's probably a GM or a head coach out there seeing the same vision I am. Build around Sam Howell, use all of that draft capital to make everything around him better rather than replacing him. Now moving on to the running backs. Brian Robinson, you can't fumble like that. We were up 10-0. You fumble in the game. Immediately turned around. I think we ended up going down 14-10 after that. Literally just killed all of the momentum. But other than that, man, they were playing well today. First of all, I don't know why we stopped giving the ball to Antonio Gibson at a point. I don't know. He just was running the ball really well. He was catching the ball really well and making people miss out in open space. I remember one play vividly. Probably anybody else, even including Brian Robinson, it's a no gain, a 1 yard gain. Antonio Gibson hit somebody with a mean spin move. It ends up being like an 8 yard gain. Like Antonio Gibson, I was saying it during the live stream. If we're talking about the guys that can make the most out of nothing on this team, you give them the ball in the backfield and just see if they can make something shake. Armani Rogers, who's on IR right now, Curtis Samuel, and Antonio Gibson. Those are our three best make something out of nothing guys on this team, about having the perfect combination of speed, agility, strength, all of that. Because Terry McLaurin's really fast, but he's not very agile. He's not very side to side, quick stuff like that. Jahan Dotson's very side to side, quick, but not extremely fast and also not strong. Antonio Gibson, Curtis Samuel, and Armani Rogers are probably the only three guys that have a great combination of all of those traits. So I still believe in Antonio Gibson as long as those guys aren't fumbling, dog, like Brian Robinson did today. Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson can be the two-headed running back monster of our dreams. Honestly, they really could be. They could be really them guys. Also, shouts out to Chris Rodriguez. Even though we're talking about running backs, this is the running back part of the video. He is a running back, but he made his best play of the season on special teams, dog. I mean, that was ridiculous. Some of us were looking like maybe he should play linebacker for us. I don't know, man. That was ridiculous. We're gonna talk about that again when we get to the special teams part of this video. But hey, man, him and Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, and again, I believe in I think Chris Rodriguez has some talent as well. But hey, man, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson got something going, dog. I truly believe that. Now moving on to wide receiver, Terry McLaurin was different today. He didn't receive as many targets as I hoped. He wasn't as productive as I hoped, up until the point that he basically got 60 yards for the Commanders in back-to-back plays by himself. Now the first one was a ridiculous throw by Sam Howell. The second one was also a pretty ridiculous throw. I love Taylor Heineke, but with him not having as much arm strength, if you look at that play on the second catch out of the two from Terry McLaurin, there was a DB right there. If that ball isn't thrown with a rocket arm, just a little bit less strength on it, the DB's probably intercepting that, and it's probably maybe even a pick six type of situation. But it was just Sam Howell throws the ball so quickly. What can you do? Slants are pretty much undefeated. With our receivers and Sam Howell's arm strength, slants should be undefeated. I don't know why we don't call those type of plays even more, especially with our offensive line. We don't necessarily trust them to be able to pass block long enough for us to do a lot of other stuff. So I'm surprised we just don't do that more from Eric Bieniemy's side. But either way, man, Terry McLaurin, first of all, great throws from Sam Howell on both of those. But Terry McLaurin, that second one where he just made so many people miss, he was outrunning people for a second, then got tracked down. That boy's different, man. Terry McLaurin's a different type of guy. And then again, smart play by him later on in the game when we were trying to run out the clock. Antonio Gibson ran out of bounds the play before, and I was a little upset about that. Terry McLaurin, when he got the ball, made sure he slid right inbounds and allowed them to touch him so the clock could keep going, and I believe it was a first down play. Now, Jahan Dotson, up and down day to day. He had moments where it was like, boy, Jahan drops it again. But he also had some moments where it's like, that's why we drafted you in the first round. Can we just get more first round Jahan Dotson rather than why did we draft him over George Pickens, Jahan Dropson? We need consistent games out of you. Again, today was better, but last week was way better. Last week was great, even though I do believe he had probably a drop in that game as well. Last week was his best game of his career, but today was kind of on and off, some bad drops, but also a great catch for a touchdown. That was a super dot. If anything, I feel like Sam Howell deserves the most credit for that, because that was a super duper dot. Like ridiculous, man. But either way, man, I'm really proud of Jahan Dotson for how he played today. Still not a great game. Still didn't look like a first round pick today, but he did it because one time he like slowed down on the route. So I feel like Sam Howell threw it where it needed to be, and for some reason Jahan Dotson slowed down and then tried to only catch it with one hand instead of two. So that was probably the one that made me the maddest, because there was another play where he like bobbled the ball all the way to the point that he got out of bounds. I'm like, bro, where are your hands at, my boy? But other than that, man, up and down game, but overall I'm happy with what I saw from him. Also, and yeah, I don't know if this is a sophomore slump for Jahan Dotson. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like maybe he's getting out of it, because again, a great game last week and a decent game, up and down game today. Also, shouts out to Jahan Dotson, because this was his second consecutive game with a receiving touchdown. This is his third time in his career having recorded touchdowns in back-to-back games. He had 2 last year, and now he finally did it his first time this year. Also, like I briefly mentioned in the intro, hey man, with Curtis Samuel hurt, those other guys stepped up, man. And I'm starting to question, like, hey man, Curtis Samuel, I love you. I want to re-sign you. I want to re-sign you so bad because you were our second best receiver for the majority of the season. Probably still are, because again, Jahan Dotson had a great game last game, but today was up and down. Curtis Samuel still probably our second best receiver. And again, he's only one of 3 guys that can do certain things. Him, Antonio Gibson, Armani Rogers. Hopefully, when he comes back from IR, he's still the same guy. We'll see. But yeah, man, Curtis Samuel, even with him gone, and for our offense to look that good, it makes you have to think, is he a guy that you can let walk, depending on how much money he's asking for? Because Jamison Crowder and Byron Pringle stepped up big time in this game. Jamison Crowder has stepped up big time, not only punt return all season, but also as a receiver these past few games. He's been excellent. He's almost been a fantasy football option type of thing. And then Byron Pringle had his best game as a Commander by far today. I mean, making clutch third down catches and everything. He had better sure hands than Jahan Dotson, man. So it's making you start to question again. Me as Rico of RicoScores wants to re-sign Curtis Samuel long term. I want him to stay here forever. I want him to retire a burgundy and gold player. But it makes you think that, again, minus the 2 fumbles, we should have had 30 points today. Well, the 2 terrible plays, Sam Howell and Brian Robinson, 1 fumble, 1 interception. We should have had 30 points, 30 plus points today. And then Logan Thomas being held in the end zone instead of kicking a field goal. That probably should have been a touchdown. They didn't call that. The offense was basically, my point is, the offense was running very smoothly even without Curtis Samuel today. So how much is this Commanders organization, whether it's Ron Rivera or the next GM and head coach combination, how much are they going to prioritize re-signing Curtis Samuel long term if Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy and this offense can go out there and ball out the way they did without him? I mean, today was just like, do we really need to pay Curtis Samuel as much money as he's probably asking for? Again, I want to, but I'm just saying, keep that in mind. This was that game. If we don't end up re-signing Curtis Samuel by the end of the season, because his contract is ending, along with a lot of guys, Antonio Gibson, Cameron Curl, most of our edge rushers, a lot of guys on this team, their contracts end after the season. If we don't re-sign Curtis Samuel long term, come back to this Patriots game to be the first sign, like, hey man, we may not need to pay that guy as much money as he's asking for. Sorry to kind of talk in circles, but I just thought that was really interesting. Now, moving on to the tight ends. I mean, really all I have to say is there's just another week of Logan Thomas making some pretty good catches, but not having the perfect game. And then most importantly, where is Cole Turner? I just felt like this was another game of everybody asking, where is Cole Turner? So, hey, man, even more of a reason to go get Brock Bowers, man. Eugene Shin loves tight ends. He prioritizes tight ends. Again, that's another video I'm gonna work on sometime, probably tomorrow, day after that, sometime this week before we play the Seahawks. I'm working on a video of how Eugene Shin likes to build his teams. Tight end is a big priority. Don't be surprised if we do whatever we got to do to end up getting Brock Bowers for Sam Howell. Again, Cole Turner's being underutilized. I don't understand why, because I like him. He catches everything thrown towards him, and he's improving as a blocker. So I don't get it, but it's just probably one of those things. I got to look at the all 22 to see, is it Eric Bieniemy's fault? Is it Sam Howell's fault? Or is it Cole Turner's fault? I don't know. Moving on, offensive line. Overall, they played pretty well. They weren't perfect. I wouldn't even necessarily say they were great, but they were good enough to let a franchise quarterback do his thing. And that's the main thing. Y'all don't have to be the best offensive line in the NFL, but can you just be good enough to let a franchise quarterback do his thing? Because Sam Howell does look like a franchise quarterback, so keep working with that. And my boy Chris Paul is out there doing his thing. I would definitely argue that we have 2 franchise guards in Chris Paul and Samuel Cosmi, point blank period. No looking back. Let Chris Paul start at left guard. We can maybe figure out center. Even though we'll talk about it soon, Tyler Larson's starting center record for us is ridiculous. We would be Super Bowl contenders according to these stats when Tyler Larson starts for us. It's just, I don't know if he's bringing good luck. I don't know if it's talent. I don't know what it is, but when Tyler Larson starts for us, we win. But tackle, Andrew Wiley hasn't been making as many mistakes these past few weeks as the first few weeks, but still may want to replace him. And then Charles Leno has his occasional mistakes. He's still solid, though. I feel like he still gets a little bit more hate than he deserves, but I'm still screaming, take a tackle in the first round. Do what you got to do. But I love the interior of the offensive line, especially the 2 guard spots. I think we have our guys when it comes to that there. Now, also, the Commander sacks allowed through weeks 6 and 7, 11. Commander sacks allowed weeks 8 and 9, 4. So in a 2-week sample size basis, 6 and 7, 11, 8 and 9, only allow 4. They're getting better. I mean, Tyler Larson at center instead of Nick Gates. and Chris Paul instead of Sadiq Charles, even though Sadiq Charles was playing pretty well. So I like Chris Paul a lot, and I prefer him over Sadiq Charles, but it wasn't like Sadiq Charles was bad. Nick Gates was bad, though. Going from Nick Gates to Tyler Larson was probably the biggest improvement on the offensive line so far. But again, it's a lot of things that play into that. Eric Bieniemy designing plays and calling plays for Sam Howell to get the ball quicker out of his hands, and Sam Howell getting the ball out of his hands quicker as well. And then, lastly, before we get up out of here, the Commanders are now 7-2-1 with Tyler Larson at center. That's ridiculous, dog. That's ridiculous, man. That's crazy, bro. Tyler Larson at center. Again, I don't know if it's his talent. I doubt it's his talent. I doubt he's that good. First of all, a center having that much of an impact on the game, it doesn't matter if you're a Hall of Fame center. You know, you're not 7-2-1 just simply because of your center. So I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's good luck. I don't care if he has some type of voodoo put on him to where if he plays for the Commanders, we're more likely to win. I don't care what it is. But if we keep winning with Tyler Larson at center, you keep him at center. I'm not even going to question it. I want my boy Cedric Van Pran from Georgia in this draft really bad. He's the best center in this draft easily. I don't even feel like it's necessarily close with whoever's in second place. But if Tyler Larson, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, keep him at center if this keeps going. Don't fix what's not broken, man. Now moving on to Jack Del Rio. Hey, man, no chase, no sweat. No problem, man. They got the job done. Now, granted, we weren't as great at rushing the passer, and Mac Jones made a lot of mistakes, but the defense still only allowed 17 points. I mean, would you say the Bears offense is just that much better than the Patriots? I don't know. So, hey, man. And I'm pretty sure Jack Del Rio probably holding his head extra high like, yeah, I did that. We do got to take into account that Mac Jones did miss a lot of open receivers, and they had a lot of drop passes. Like that interception at the end of the game should have been caught. That wasn't even you can't even blame that on Mac Jones. And I feel like a lot of the reasons the Patriots lost today was Mac Jones' fault. But that interception right there by Quan Martin was just simply a drop pass by the receiver. So Jack Del Rio, congratulations. Without Chase Young and Montez Sweat, your two best pass rushers, you were able to still go out there and have a good defensive game. And you also got to remember, one of those touchdowns that the Patriots scored, out of 7 of their 17 points, was immediately after a Brian Robinson fumble. And then they had a good matchup of Hunter Henry, I believe it was, on Khaleke Hudson. 6'5" versus like 5'10" is unfair regardless. There's nothing you can really do there. But Shay, man, shouts out to the defensive line for doing what you had to do, right? I mean, Jack Del Rio for doing what you had to do to win this game. Now, defensive line-wise, my boy KJ Henry flashed. Stop playing with my dog, man. I'm telling you. My boy flashed. They came up with a terrible roughing the passer call on him that I completely disagree with, that we looked at earlier. But my boy flashed today. He wasn't very consistent. It wasn't like he balled out all day today. But boy, he flashed when we needed him. And he showed a little something. His first game getting probably near starting level minutes, at the very least the most snaps he's had all season, and he made the most of it. So I'm expecting him to build on that and to only get better. We're gonna keep it pushing. Also, Andre Jones had a batted down pass at a certain point. Now, of course, I meant to preface this before my video, but if y'all been watching my videos long enough now, when I do these game reviews at the games and I'll talk about the Commanders for like an hour, you already know this is my live reaction to the game. I have not had a chance to rewatch the game, first of all, just period, but let alone get the all-22 footage of it. So I don't absolutely know for sure everything. It's hard. First of all, watching it live, you can't watch every player. And then usually on the screen, they don't even show the DB group. So I'm going to have to look at the all-22 to get a better idea of who played well and who didn't. But off of my live reaction, I liked what I saw from Andre Jones. I liked what I saw from KJ Henry. And I'm just trying to figure out what happened to my boys, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. Now, Efe Abada, he looked pretty good out there as well. Some good pursuit on some plays and stuff like that. He tried to make the most of his minutes, but he didn't flash as much as I hoped or expected. But where were Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, man? Now, of course, again, after I look at the all-22, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe they were getting held and it wasn't getting called. Maybe the Patriots were double-teaming them more now that Chase Young and Montez Sweat are gone. They're like, hey, man, Case Toohill, J. Smith-Williams is just going to have to beat us. We're going to focus on stopping Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to look at the all-22 to find out, but I didn't hear anything from those guys. I didn't really necessarily notice them flash. And when we pay you guys that much money, I'm expecting you to flash regardless of the situation. But again, I'm going to have to look at the all-22 to figure out whose fault it was. Was it the Patriots just double teaming them? Were they getting held? Whatever. Moving on to the linebackers. Jamin Davis, man, just isn't as good when the middle linebacker that's supposed to be our starter is hurt. And I don't know why. I mean, I can hypothesize. And man, Tyler Larson is 32 years old. Wow, I just saw that on Twitter, man. I forgot he was that old. Logan Thomas is older than y'all think too, as well. Terry McLaurin is a little bit older than y'all think as well. So we can't do like a full rebuild, just to warn you. Because I mean, a lot of our elite players may not still be at an elite level at that point. Just to warn you. But going off on a super tangent, just based off the notification I saw on Twitter. But Jamin Davis, man. When Cole Holcomb was healthy last year, we were like, oh man, he's starting to look like maybe he was worth the first round pick a little bit. Cole Holcomb got hurt, he got terrible. You know what I'm saying? And then this year, Cody Barton, a lot of people complaining about him. I kept trying to warn y'all. Yeah, Cody Barton has not been good. I'm not saying he has been good, but Jamin Davis is playing better, really well with them out there. Jamin Davis has looked the best he's looked in his career with them out there. And then when he gets hurt, you don't want to see David Mayo. David Mayo is definitely worse than Cody Barton. For people acting like Cody Barton was the worst doing it, tried to warn y'all, he's not. There's a David Mayo that exists. There's a John Bostic out there somewhere waiting for us to call him. It can always be worse. But either way, I don't know what it is. Cody Barton out there not playing his best football, but Jamin Davis is balling out because Cody Barton is out there. Soon as Cody Barton gets hurt, Jamin Davis reverts back to his why did we spend a first round pick on himself. I mean, bad against the run, missing tackles, late to run fits. Even though that one pass breakup he had, he got beat. It was just a severe underthrow by Mac Jones. Good job still getting your hand in there to pat it down, but he was getting beat in coverage. It was just like, I don't know. I don't know what is so bad. But at the same time, though, it's clear, especially with Cody Barton hurt and David Mayo having to play, teams are attacking our linebackers, dog. That middle of the field, whether they're running the ball, passing the ball, it is what it is. They're attacking the middle of the field, especially in the pass game. Again, teams have just literally been like, where's David Mayo on the field? I don't care who's our best receiver. I don't care who's our best tight end, our best running back. I want you to target whoever David Mayo's covering. It could be the fifth string wide receiver. I'll take my chances. That's how offenses have been. That's how they're going to be for the rest of the season. So buckle up for that. Hopefully Jamin Davis can get it right even with David Mayo to his side, because it just doesn't look like he has been able to so far. Moving on to the corners, my boy Emmanuel Forbes, dog. And I kept telling y'all I still claim him. I still believe in his future. I wasn't one of those guys that abandoned ship. I think Emmanuel Forbes has the talent to be a really good corner. It's just going to take some time. And I've also explained that when we benched him against the Bears, DJ Moore did everybody just as bad as he did Forbes after we benched Forbes. Danny Johnson didn't do better. It was just an overthrow by Justin Fields. Kendall Fuller didn't do any better. Benjamin St. Juste didn't do any better. DJ Moore was killing everybody. So I don't know why we acted like it was all on Emmanuel Forbes. And then you had the other couple of games where he barely played. Why did we have Emmanuel Forbes only play 5 snaps and 3 of them on like AJ Brown? That just wasn't even smart from Jack Del Rio. So I still believe it. I'm not excusing Emmanuel Forbes. Yes, he has been bad, but it's been bad against elite receivers that nobody else on our team could seem to cover either. Benjamin St. Juste did a better job on AJ Brown that second time we played the Eagles, but it wasn't great. He still got touchdown scored on him. He still got mossed. So it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm happy to see that Emmanuel Forbes had a great day. He went against a bad receiver core. Let's emphasize that. This wasn't AJ Brown. This wasn't DJ Moore. This wasn't Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and all of those guys. But you have to play the guy that's in front of you, and this was a great confidence-building day. I was never worried about his confidence just off of his personality. That's one of the main reasons I like him. He's one of those guys that it doesn't matter how bad of a game he has. He's ready to go out there the next game and just run it right back. Give me that chance again. I'm pretty sure he's excited about potentially covering AJ Brown next year. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not as a fan the way AJ Brown did him, but then again, who can we trust on to cover AJ Brown at this point? But either way, man, he had 2 pass breakups in the first quarter, made some run stops, some open field tackles, should have had an interception, but it was an offensive pass interference that wasn't called by the refs. I mean, he literally is like about to catch it, and the guy's tackling him before the ball even gets there. What is he supposed to do? I know a lot of people were like, Emmanuel Forbes, we need you to catch that. How are you supposed to catch that? That was literally offensive pass interference. The receiver literally turned it to a DB to literally get out of Emmanuel Forbes' hands. Bad pass by Mac Jones, great coverage by Emmanuel Forbes. And then he had more pass breakups as the game went on. I'm assuming he ended the game with like 3 or 4. I love it, man. And I hate the fact that a lot of people are saying that he didn't go against anybody, because these are still NFL receivers. Again, it's not AJ Brown, it's not DJ Moore, but they're still NFL receivers. So I don't know which I would be happier with. Did you want him to play poorly against bad receivers? Like, what are y'all asking for here? And either way, I love the fact that our other DBs have his back. You have Cameron Curl tweeting about Emmanuel Forbes afterwards. He said, 13 like that for real. Strapped up, shouty. Yes, sir. Then my boy Benjamin St. Just said, hell of a game by number 13. Don't call it a comeback. HTTC. Yes, sir, man. I love how my fellow DBs have our first round pick. They have his back, man. They ain't worried about nothing. Shouts out to Kendall Fuller, had a great game because he's our best screen ender. He just sniffs out screens and then always works his way around the wide receiver to make the play. He's just the greatest at that. One of the best I've ever seen. I don't know what it is. He's one of the best corners in the NFL as far as sniffing out screens. It's ridiculous. And even though it was technically a drop on the receiver, Emmanuel Forbes did have good coverage on that receiver that led to the game-winning Quan Martin interception. So shouts out to him. And then speaking of Quan Martin, moving on to the safeties. First of all, great acting job by Quan Martin to force that penalty on the Patriots that led to them having to start with worse field positioning, and we ended up winning the game. Defense was able to hold and stuff like that. They had to start from further back on their side of the field because it was a stupid play by the Patriots player, and he was complaining to the refs. It was like, why did you even try to block him? Just let him go. Like, why did you even? That was stupid. Quan Martin did a great job of flopping there to make sure we got the call. Heads up play by him, veteran play by a second round rookie that's only played about like 40-50 snaps so far this season, which is just crazy. But also, of course, most notably, the game-winning interception. It was right place, right time. It wasn't like he just made a super crazy play, like an Ed Reed level play, but that's the type of plays you need to make sure that we don't look stupid taking you in the second round. And again, even when he was not looking good in the preseason, I was always behind Quan Martin because I trusted his tape and his film back in college, and I think he can be a really good player for us, so I'm very happy for him. Also, Percy Butler started the game bad, but ended well in the clutch with some pass breakups, so he started to catch a rhythm towards the end of the game. Very proud of this entire DB group. Cameron Curl, wasn't very noticeable. That's one of those guys you got to look at the all-22, and a lot of his impact is more than the plays he actually makes himself, because he is one of those guys that helps to keep the communication in the secondary solid. No, blown coverages and stuff like that. Make sure people are in the right spot. So I'm not gonna down him. I didn't really notice him on the field today, but that's not necessarily his fault. And Derek Forrest didn't necessarily. I'm not even sure. Did Derek Forrest play? If he did, I didn't really notice him either. That's another all-22er right there. Moving on to the special teams. Tress Way had a great punting day today. Great. Special teams was like an A+, you could argue today. The only thing stopping us from being an A+ was a return for a touchdown. That's it. Our special teams coverage was an A, though. Definitely. Chris Rodriguez looked like he should have played linebacker the way he went down and made that tackle. That was amazing. Golly. And Joey Sly hasn't missed a kick in weeks, I believe. So shouts out to Joey Sly. Other than this kick getting blocked, I think he's been perfect. Let me actually go pull up the stats right now, man. My boy Joey Sly is automatic from PATs, from field goal kicks. He made that 61-yarder last week after he had to make a 56 one, but then there was a false start, so he had to make the 56, then a 61. He was 2 of 2 field goals today and 2 of 2 on extra points. He hasn't missed a field goal kick in a couple of weeks now. That's my boy right there, man. That's our franchise kicker right there, man. We got to start evaluating. Winning is cool too. Winning is fun. I can admit that. But right now, most importantly, we need to figure out who are our future guys for this team moving forward. Who's going to be a part of the 2024 Commanders and beyond? And Joey Sly looks like he's one of those guys, man. Speaking of our guys of the future, along with Chris Paul looking really good at left guard as a young player, Joey Sly is our kicker, franchise kicker potentially. We have a lot of young franchise guys out there making plays, and I'm proud of them. But our rookies had their best game of the season by far. Emmanuel Forbes was great. Pass breakups, should have been interception. Great open field tackles. Chris Rodriguez had a ridiculous big stop and punt coverage for -2 yards on this tackle. Andre Jones had a batted down pass. KJ Henry should have had a strip sack if it wasn't for that ridiculous pass interference call. Roughing the passer call. Quan Martin had a game-winning interception, and even before then, he looked pretty good. And then Sam Howell isn't technically a rookie, but Sam Howell, you can argue, had his best game of the season between this or the Eagles game. But I feel like this was the most complete game outside of that interception. And then Emmanuel Forbes easily had his best game. So again, the young talent on this team looked really good, and I'm very happy about that. Again, the win is cool. You could be playing for a draft pick, you could be playing for the playoffs. Either way, the thing I care the most about is evaluating our players, especially these young guys, and they definitely did impress. So that's the reason I'm the happiest. The young guys look great. Winning second or third place to me, I'm not gonna lie. But the young guys, Sam Howell, Emmanuel Forbes, these young defensive players, them balling out, huge, man. That's huge. That's big time. Also, before we get up out of here, just to let you know, Bears fans are upset at Montez Sweat for making $105 million as of a couple of days ago, and he had 1 tackle, 0 sacks, and 0 quarterback pressures. Well, that's according to a Bears fan. I don't know if those are his actual stats. That's just something I saw in a tweet. So Bears fans are pretty upset with us for getting a 2nd round pick in return and them having to pay him. Also, moving forward, I mean, after the way we played against the Patriots today, do you think we can beat Seattle? Y'all think we got Seattle in us right now? I mean, you got to remember, man, them guys are going to be angry next week after the way they just got embarrassed by the Ravens. That's going to be a motivated team. So we got to come in after a win against the Patriots just equally as motivated, because we've seen that if we're not motivated going into a game, we can end up losing the way we lost to the Bears or the Giants. And the Seahawks are better than both the Giants and the Bears, probably even combined. So we can't go in there playing around. It's not for play. But at the same time, man, like I mentioned earlier, Ron Rivera loves them little mid-season pointless win streaks. I wouldn't be surprised after beating the Patriots in New England, we beat the Seahawks in Seattle. I just wouldn't. Also, speaking of Montez Sweat and the Bears, shouts out to the Bears for losing, because y'all are helping our draft picks get higher and higher. That 2nd round draft pick, we really appreciate you big time, man. Really do. Keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button, so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in this video, of course. And also, again, for these long videos, the research, everything, if you appreciate all of the work that I'm doing, you can support the channel, because YouTube is tripping right now. You can support the channel by donating to the Cash App, $RicoScores, or the PayPal, WilliamHC94@gmail.com. All of that information on how you can contribute to the channel, because I'm saving up for another stream deck. So all of those reactions you see in my live streams, I'm trying to get more reactions like those, like Casey Hill doing the gritty and stuff like that. I just need to save up for a better stream deck so I can add that to it as well. I'm just, because like when we get a sack, I want to play that gif right there. All kinds of stuff. So yeah, man, if you want to support the channel anyway, all of the information is in the description of this video, every live stream, everywhere, every time. So I really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to everybody that donated during the stream. I really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to any of y'all that may donate while I'm not live streaming. I will make sure I shout you out the next time I live stream or the next time I do a video. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna try to do my best to try to read and reply to comments, but I've just been so busy. But I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.